What's going on, folks, and welcome back. Today I wanted to talk about some extra details I was able to discover about the company behind the upcoming MMORPG known as Quinfall. This came from both digging around on various sites in the community Discord, but I was also able to ask a few questions to the team directly, which is where they confirmed their team size and the real first game their studio worked on. Now, to start from the beginning, Quinfall is not the first MMORPG that this team has developed. Previously, when their development team consisted of a much smaller size, originally being one person, they worked on a game that went into beta after only a year of development for a small Turkish audience known as Kayra Online. This MMO functioned as more of a concept project for them to start testing various technologies and AI systems, and from what I was reading, this seemed to be well received by their community and led to the company receiving funding for their new project Quinfall and allowing them to hire up to 54 people for their company. I wasn't able to find any official information on what engine Kayra Online ran on, but one of the news articles I came across did mention that it may have used Unity, although they might have been using an earlier version of it or other technology in the networking or coding that hindered them and persuaded them to scrap the project entirely and want to start on something bigger and better. Now, I was able to find an article that claimed that the company went under a different name before they rebranded to Vawraek, and that was Arena Studio. There's very limited information regarding both that studio name and Kayra Online itself, so I wasn't able to obtain much more information than that. However, I did find the game's Twitter, which had one of their most recent postings in November of 2020, stating that the closed beta had ended, and Vawraek Technologies' official founding according to their website is marked as January 2021, so timeline-wise that does match up pretty well. It's also worth noting that Kayra Online doesn't seem to be marked as ever being fully released, so it seems likely that around that January 2021 timeframe is when the company decided to fully transition from the previous MMO and go all in on this new project as their flagship. And as far as I was able to see, they didn't ever charge anybody for that previous MMO, and I never saw any founders packs and wasn't marked anywhere as ever being fully released. Also, I think there's a bit of a typo on their website because in the timeline section it says that Kayra Online entered development in 2021, but the tweets on the game's Twitter page date as far back as September 3rd, 2020 up until November 2020. But they might have been talking about the remake version that I was able to find concepts for. I did some digging, and somewhere in that timeline it seems like they wanted to do a remake of Kayra Online. These concepts look very similar to what we've seen in the Quinfall teaser, and it even says what I assume translates to Arena Studios in the watermark, so this seems to further suggest that instead of sticking with Kayra, they wanted to scrap it all and start fresh with something bigger and better. I also noticed that most of the social media and the official website itself for Kayra are no longer available, but I was at least able to find some gameplay footage on YouTube and a basic gist of what the game's lore entailed when it was still in development. I'll leave it up on screen just in case anyone wants to read it. Also, when I spoke to the team again about this subject, they revealed that Kayra Online was able to go into beta only after a year of development, which I believe they mentioned to kind of showcase how fast they're able to produce a game with technology available at their fingertips. Just as a tidbit, they talk about this a bit more when it comes to why they chose Unity, stating that Unity doesn't limit any of the systems they plan to implement, and for the certain parts Unity did restrict, the development team was able to bypass them. It also fits better with the technical capabilities of their team and allowed them to create different tools to help speed up the development process. And it's for all these reasons that they decided to call themselves Vawraek Technologies and not Vawraek Games or Studios. The conflicting part is that they say in this article that Kayra Online could not be made on Unity, but that previous article I found said that it was, but take that part specifically with a grain of salt. Or they might be talking about the version of Unity that they were using at the time. And when it comes to the people behind the game, I was actually able to come across the LinkedIn profiles of the company itself and the founder. I was able to look at some of their posts, and so far from what I can tell, they seem to be real people interested in making a real game. And they haven't asked for any money or crowdfunding from people, or at least not yet. So aside from crazy ambition and leaning more on the cinematic side as opposed to real gameplay projecting off their gameplay showcases, it seems to be leaning slowly but surely towards the side of being legit. Now, that being said, I know we've been here before. I think the biggest thing that's going to help calm people's worries about the game is a 10 to 15 minute gameplay showcase in between or before they produce their very first developer diary, because there's certain things the community needs to see before it's easier to believe that a game being developed in this genre is real. Some examples being a better showcase of the UI, experiences with players fighting and running around as opposed to NPCs or bots. Really just a couple minutes of gameplay without a cinematic camera would do this game a whole lot of good in that department. But in the meantime, we'll talk more about the gameplay systems they're planning, so I've got more videos coming soon. But as always, let me know your thoughts and if you're ready to start drinking the drink or if you're still on the side that's not quite convinced. And as always, have a wonderful night or day, folks, and farewell.